Hey everybody, what's happening? Me and Nana had planned this for a while, and we didn't have a chance to go to get it done. But anyways, this is a really good case, and I thought you guys would have a good time with it. Me and Nana were just talking, and we were like, "Oh my God, somebody guessed it in the chat." And she's like, and I was like, "Yeah, somebody stinking did." Heather, who's never really in here, guessed it right off the jump. But I'm still going to read it to you because it is an interesting case. And she actually only got like 13 years for murdering her husband. She got 3 years for another charge, but she only got 13 years for murdering her husband. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start off by reading this. Actually, Nana is the one that wrote this, and I thought it was really good. So, I'm going to go ahead and read it to you guys. It says, "Hello. Let me introduce myself. I have 2 children that were taken from me. I feel all men are attracted to me and use that sweet, innocent side to their detriment. I made up lies of abuse for attention and sympathy. At one time, I was juggling 3 men at the same time. I complained to my friends, 2 of them, that my husband would have forced sex on me while I was sleeping, although I was freely giving it to 2 other men at said time of accusations. I made sure no one heard his side of whether they were true or not. He never got to defend himself because I killed him. After killing my husband, I then went on to have another child with one of the other 2 men I was having an affair with. No one knew I was behind it all, as I played victim as long as I could. I sold all my husband's land that had been in the family for over 40 years. I didn't even bat an eye. I took away their only niece, the only child my husband had, and I have not allowed them access to her or my son from a previous marriage that they had grown to love. For all the horrible things I did, I was only given 16 years in prison. The judge said to me at sentencing, 'You will get out in your 40s.' My 40s were pretty good. I just hope you don't kill again." I don't know what the jury was thinking. Whoo, child. Woo.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and play this real quick. Hopefully it gives you guys a little bit of an idea of how Ben Rennick was. He was a really good dude, and he was a snake breeder. He started out with nothing. He started out in the mud, and he, actually before he was murdered, he sold his property. And it was like up in the millions, I'm pretty sure. So
he
all
his
snakes, and
not the property.
What was it? I'm sorry.
He sold
it was
snakes.
the property, the snakes, because he had bred special snakes. He was a really, really top quality breeder. I mean, people paid a lot of money to have his snakes, So it's pretty cool. Go ahead and play it.
Okay.
Tree's preeminent snake breeders.
This girl, very tame.
Rennick appeared at reptile shows selling his snakes to enthusiasts all over the country. That ended in June of 2017 when he was found dead at his breeding facility.
I thought he'd been attacked by a snake because his skull was crushed.
This is his brother.
Exactly where he always stood, right there in the facility.
Sam Rennick is Ben's brother. He got the panicked call that night from Ben's wife, Lynn Lee.
It wasn't until well after the police arrived that I was told that he was actually murdered by a gun, by a weapon, and I found that very hard to believe. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Nobody would ever want to hurt Ben.
It's a very sad case.
Multiple gunshot wounds, with one being a contact wound to the head. Nothing was stolen, and based on where his body was found, investigators seemed to be convinced of one thing, that the killer was known to Rennick. But Ben's murder went unsolved for more than 2 years, until this January, a break. Identified only as BB in the police report, he broke the case wide open with information leading to the arrest of Ben's wife, Lynn Lee Rennick, and her ex-boyfriend, Michael Humphrey. The 2 are charged with first-degree murder in the death of Ben Rennick. According to the probable cause affidavit, BB told police he was having an affair with Lynn Lee while she was married to Ben. They continued to see each other after Ben died, even fathering a child with her. According to BB, Lynn Lee told him she feared Ben would divorce her over the money problems with the spouse. So, with the help of ex-boyfriend Michael Humphrey, she planned to shoot Ben after a previous poisoning attempt failed to kill him. BB told police that Lindley and Humphrey went to the snake farm. Lindley told Ben that Humphrey was an old friend who wanted to see the snakes. After a tour, they returned to the car to retrieve a gun. BB told police Lindley walked in with the gun and shot Ben multiple times. Lindley and Humphrey then returned to Lindley's spa business, where Lindley took off her clothes and took a shower, giving the clothes to Humphrey to dispose of with the gun and shell casings.
It was a huge relief. We were happy to finally get some answers. However, of course, they were ugly. You know, hearing that she attempted to poison him, all of that was new news to us. Finding out that she was having an affair was something we were completely taken. We were shocked. We couldn't have imagined that. That's not the Lindley we knew.
Joining me now to dig into this case further from Columbia, Missouri, anchor and managing editor at ABC 17, Lucas Geisler. Lucas, great to see you. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, Julie.
You have done such extensive reporting on this case. And so the first question I have for you is really, what do you think are the most important things to know about this case?
The most important things, at least at this juncture, to know about this case is essentially one of the main things that the Missouri State Highway Patrol has laid out so far in evidence, and that is some of the motive in the case. It was mentioned there in the report previously that there seems to be, from Lindley Rennick's side, some issues with money, issues with her spa that she owned in Columbia losing money. There are a number of court cases publicly available in which there were many unpaid bills from contractor work that was done on that spa, as well as some unpaid credit card bills as well. Thousands of dollars when individually all add up to a lot of money that seemed to be owed. And also, on the other hand, to see that Ben Rennick was set to really come into a windfall of money on his own. At the time, at least from what we understand with some of the
Yeah, he made a lot of fucking money off them.
It seemed that Ben was almost trying to get out of the reptile business, this business that he had become really a luminary in, a very popular person, very well liked by people in the reptile breeding industry, that he was really set to get out and set to become a millionaire through it. He was set to sell off his ball pythons and his anacondas to an NHL goalie for $1.2 million.
$1.2 million.
Payment.
He had already made he'd already got the first payment.
Still there in his farm in Montgomery County. So it's important, I think, at this point to understand the motive going on here. Some struggle, some financial struggles that are laid out. On the other hand, I will say that right now, what is being laid out in the criminal proceedings in court is, so what exactly is the evidence saying that she did this? Well, it's this testimony of this one person, BB, who, as that report said, sort of broke this case open. And that's really a great way to put it. It's based on that interview that the Highway Patrol did with BB, an ex-lover of Lindley's, that provided them a lot of the evidence that they're basing their probable cause on to go with this. Now, of course, this witness, at least in Lindley's criminal proceedings so far, has been repeatedly attacked by her defense team. His credibility has come into question a lot. He also faces a criminal case himself for violating a protection order that Lindley took out against him in the years following Ben's death. So these two things, I think it's important at this juncture in the case to understand.
Wow. I have a follow-up question for you, please, Lucas. Is BB the same person as Michael Humphrey, Lindley's ex-boyfriend? I understand that Michael Humphrey is also facing some charges in connection with this case as well. So I'm wondering, was that link ever confirmed?
You are right. There is those are two different people, though. I will note. BB is an ex-lover of hers. They have a child in common, Lindley and this individual does. Michael Humphrey, though, is a co-defendant, and that is a great point, Julie, to bring up. There is a co-defendant in that case as well. Michael Humphrey is considered an ex of Lindley's from maybe more than a decade ago. He was known to Lindley. They had known each other. They had known each other for some years. Some of what I've heard from people that knew Michael is that these two actually had not been in communication very much at all in those 10 years, though, after they were together. So it is a different person. The way the Highway Patrol tells the story that leads to these charges is that it was Michael and Lindley that went to that farm in Montgomery County where where Ben's property is, and the reptile farm that is there. That those two went together and committed the murder there. Now, Michael Humphrey as well has his own team on his side. There's another criminal case that's going right now. His team has also said that he is innocent of the charge, that he did not commit murder. And it's going to be a point of it's certainly going to be a point of contention is the cooperation maybe that either one is providing investigators, or no cooperation at all from either one.
Appreciate you explaining all that, Lucas. This case is
Sure.
really quite fascinating and a lot of details to unpack with it. One more detail before we let you go, please. I understand that Lindley Rennick is actually out on bond awaiting trial, which is certainly unusual when you have a homicide case. What can you share with us about her bond and the way it's been structured?
Julie, this was a big point of contention in late September in Lindley's case, is her release on recognizance from jail. Now, what that essentially means,
Yeah, they released her on her own recognizance until the trial. So basically,
in order to get out,
she got away with, she pretty much got away with murder. I mean, obviously, but she
doesn't have any money.
got away with a whole lot more.
As a public defender, essentially claiming she doesn't have the money to pay this, and essentially made promises to the court that she's not a danger to society, which is a major element in determining bond, whether or not the judge believes someone is a danger to the community if they were to be let out. Said she's not a danger to the community. She'll be placed under GPS monitoring that's supposed to ping every 15 minutes, 24-hour surveillance every 15 minutes, and essentially also claiming, look, many of the state's witnesses in this case face their own charges or their own scrutiny, and they've been let out of jail. This BB that we're talking about, remember that charge that violated?
That's fucking nuts to
well,
me.
he was let
That
out
is
on
crazy
bond.
to me.
He was let out on bond, albeit.
Oh yeah, especially knowing she had over $800,000 from selling the land.
At the spa with Lindley, who investigators questioned.
Yeah, so that's crazy as hell, you guys. We had to cover this. Me and Nana have been talking about it for a while because Lindley's trial she just got sentenced, I think, last month, and she got sentenced to 13 years, and then she got 3 years for another charge. I'm not sure what it was, but I'll tell you what, sorry, I had to cough. You're playing in the background, Nan. You got background.
Oh, hold on.
I muted you for a second. So basically, they if you get a chance to, or if you want to do a deeper dive on this, I watched them on Court TV. There's a whole playlist, and you can make a lot of money from the snake breeder. Being a snake breeder, he made a lot of money. Like you can, he was selling a snake for $20,000 a snake. $30,000 right pecan pie. I mean. Yeah, he made tons of money. He started out in the mud. Like he started with nothing. And when he started getting paid and get money, he gave her money to open what was it, her own salon or her own what was it? Like a nail salon or a spa. Okay, yeah, a spa. He gave her the money to open her own spa and stuff and do her own thing, you know what I mean? And was really supportive of her working in the spa and doing this, and she never paid the bills for it. Like he was giving her money and she wasn't paying the bills. But see, what else is really bad about this? Hold on one second.
What's really bad is she's screwing all these men behind his back. Let's see. And just so y'all know, Nana can't type in chat right now because I'm on StreamYard on my phone and my muter. And my iPad, I can't figure out my sign into YouTube. So
sorry, I was gonna go get my charger. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, they okay, so what do you think when I was telling you about they did so the family Ben Rennick's family, his brother and his parents or whatever, his family and friends did a fundraiser, and actually the snake breeding community did a fundraiser, and they gave Lindley over, what was it, like $50,000 or something? It was a big chunk of money. They gave her a lot of money. On top of that, she got the land and she got all the snakes. And actually, a lot of the snakes died and they crossbred because they were left in the shed was locked with it wasn't a shed, it was a big huge, what am I thinking, like a warehouse of snakes.
Yeah.
It was basically locked because it was in the midst of court. So they couldn't do anything with them, and nobody could go in there. Nobody could feed them. Like nobody could be in there with them. Nobody could take them, and take care of them. So basically, these snakes got left to their own,
Well, I mean, they couldn't survive. You know, they have to be fed and taken care of, and you have to keep their temperature a certain way. And, you know, there was
Yeah,
no,
the snake pecan pie. They open the snake babies, like the eggs and stuff, when they cut them open. There's like really, like they have really pretty kinds. See, the only reason I even got into this is because my brother's in, like, he does a lot of snake stuff. My dad was into snakes, like they were, you know, this is their thing. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how I even, you know, my brother, he has like tortoises and different kinds of snakes and like lizards and all kinds of stuff. He's actually the one that he's suggested to my daughter to go to a like a, what was it, reptile show to get her bearded dragon. So, I mean, another person that knows a lot about this is Kate. She actually has a lot of bearded dragons and stuff, and she knows a lot about the snake breeding community. They're actually really like good people, you know what I mean? So when this happened, they tried to support Lindley in the best way possible. So when she got convicted of murder, it like was a huge kick in the teeth to his family and her family, well, his family, because they had been supporting her this whole time. They had done fundraisers for her and her kids. They had given her like, you know, $50,000. Another community gave her $30,000. They were trying to help with the snakes. They were doing everything they could, only to find out that she was the one who pulled the trigger. You know, then it was like devastating to them.
exactly. And to have to call his brother and have his brother go in, find him shot, be covered in blood, and then he's trying to console the children. I mean, it was just, how do you do that? And then to sit through the trial and look so innocent when they were talking about how he was murdered and see her trying to cry, it made me almost want to puke.
Abby, you can pull it up real quick. We'll play the part. Well, you can put on whatever. We can play clips of whatever. We just have to make sure that they're at 2, you know, or at 1.5 speed or whatever. You know what I mean? Just so when you play them.
Well, do you want me to play the
She only got
sentencing?
13 years, you guys. 13 years. She shot her husband in his play, like in his what is like warehouse, in 13 years. That's it.
Well, the problem is that in the state, what was it? Is it Missouri?
I think so. I mean, I'll have
And
to
the
go back and
judge
listen to them again.
why don't we just play the sentencing, because maybe that'll clear it up. And
Oh yeah,
Sam,
the judge was
brother,
pissed. The judge was pissed. You could tell he's like, I hope, you know, he's like, my 40s were pretty good. I hope you don't kill again.
yes. I mean, I love the fact that he told her basically, you're a piece of shit, lady. Don't think I think you're, you know, sitting there all snug. Do you want to play the sentencing? Because that's where Sam reads his letter too. And I mean,
yeah.
Okay. It's ready.
That's fine. Whatever you want to put on. Like I said, you know, I knew you were tickled pink to do this. So I'm like, let's get her done.
Well, between you being sick, me getting COVID, me getting over COVID, and everything else, and Gen X wanted to do it. Now she has COVID. So it was like, is it ever going to be the time? Okay. So
I know. It's been bad.
Yeah, so the sentencing is, I think it's 25 minutes. Let me see if I can find where the judge actually comes in. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, it just starts right off. So let's see.
I got it pulled up for you, so it's on here.
Okay. You want to just start right here? And let me make sure I've got it at the 125. Okay,
yeah, that's fine. Whatever works for you works for me.
This is about 25 minutes, guys, but it's good.
Lindley Rennick, state appears by prosecuting attorney King and assistant A.G. Zellner. Defendant appears with attorneys Berger and Hesseman.
I know some of it's kind of blah, but she wouldn't leave her husband because of the money, and she was telling her friends that if she left, he would take the children.
You'll recall, what day did we try this? 12. Is that when the verdict came in? Do you remember the date?
Oh, I agree, 3-boy mom. 10 years for drugs and she commits murder.
On the 10th. Yeah, I think, and then they did the punishment stage. Okay, so the jury came back on December 10th of last year, 2021, and found you guilty of murder in the second degree and
Oh, let
armed
me
robbery.
mute.
I'll note you appear here with your attorneys, and you recall all that happening on that date? Okay. They recommended a sentence of 13 years on count 1 and 3 years on count 2, as I recall. Okay. Now, a lot of people don't understand this, but I just want to make this clear on the record. Missouri law does not allow me to exceed the recommendation of the jury on punishment. Okay. I've gotten a bunch of letters going, give her way more than that. I can't do it. You can't do that under Missouri law. Okay. So I just want to make that clear. I know some people probably won't hear that, but I can't. Okay. Now, did you want to file a motion for, who's doing the talking here? Mr. Hesseman, did you want to file a motion for new trial? No. Okay. I didn't see one in case net. And you understand you're waiving then your right to appeal.
That's correct.
Okay. Is that correct, Ms. Rennick? Okay. So there's no motion for new trial filed and there's no appeal. Both of those are waived, correct?
That's correct.
All right. You want to say anything on that, Mr. Zellman?
No motion for new trial.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say defendant files no motion for new trial and waives any appeal. Okay. So does either side want to adduce evidence?
I wonder if she has to do all 13 years or if it's like 85% and she's got to do like 8 years, you know?
Okay, I read that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I got to look into that, but I want to know where all the money gets to stay. I mean, because she sold the family land, y'all.
Okay,
His
noted.
family's land.
Yeah, that was a straight bitch move.
I still can't get over her having an affair with 2 different men at the same time and married.
Yes, they are.
I mean, damn, she had
They
some
are
judgment.
filed and considered. Does anybody want to adduce evidence?
Statement like we have 3 statements. We also have, and I put an exhibit on it. It's a brief letter from some of the family. I have given a copy of this to the defense before this. I'd like to offer evidence.
Yeah.
And then I think Sam, if you recall.
Is that something you filed before? I don't know if I've read that.
No, you have not.
Okay, okay.
It came after.
Okay, you want to let him see it?
I've received, Your Honor, an email that I think has what you showed.
You just want to make sure it's the same thing?
I just cut out all the emails, essentially. And then Sam Reddick would like to address the court judge. If you recall, he's the victim's brother.
We know a lot of the snakes died. I'm not real sure what happened with the other ones.
I think he just had a statement. How do you want to do it?
But it's not this, right?
Correct.
Okay.
In addition to that letter.
And so much of what she did after the killing was never even brought up in court, which I think it should have been.
Okay. State's Exhibit 125 is admitted. Do you want this filed or do you want me to?
Judge, I just put that on there so you can do the record would know what it was.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I guess if I need to, I can offer it in, I can file it with the court.
You can file it. Okay. Now you want to put on the way I do
Yeah,
it.
I'll be
is put 'em
there
on-
and watch her at the
Yeah, he's
very
got an
end after
opportunity
the
to cross.
judge tells her what he thinks
Okay, so
about
tell
it.
you this.
She didn't look very happy. It was like, ooh, I didn't fool that guy.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you will now give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Have a seat.
This is the brother.
Okay, Mr. Zellner.
Could you please introduce yourself to the judge?
Yes, I'm Samuel Rennick. I'm brother of Benjamin Rennick.
And are you the same Sam Reddick that, well, you sat through the entire trial? Did you not?
Yes, sir.
And you had to sit through.
Yes, sir.
And you're the same Reddick that Lindley tried to tell the police was responsible for this crime, correct?
Yes, sir.
Have you prepared a statement that you would like to read to the court?
I have.
Your Honor, at this time, could I ask permission for him to read that statement to the court?
Hello, everyone.
My name is Samuel Rennick. I am the older brother of the late Benjamin Rennick. We're gathered here today because of the premeditated actions of Lindley Rennick, which include the murder and execution of my 29-year-old brother and father of two. Regarding the verdict, unfortunately, even though the jury is instructed not to have sympathy or to allow their feelings to stand in the way of the facts, we feel that this injustice has in fact taken place in this case. We thank the state prosecution team for their hard work in this trial, and we hope that the facts would speak for themselves. I beg the common person to watch the trial again and ask themselves if my brother's life was worth only 16 years. 16 years is why I'm here today. Judge Crane, there's a chance that I might have criticized you a time or two in the past. I want to thank you for your work in this case. I appreciate what you do, and we respect the position that you were in. I'm here today to ask for the maximum possible sentence of Lindley Rennick, despite the verdict that we feel was far inferior to what it should have been. I once again refer to the evidence, the premeditation, the cover-up of actions before, during, and after my brother was executed. To this day, I truly believe that Lindley Rennick was the one that pulled the trigger, unloading 8 bullets into the back of my brother, Benjamin Rennick. And I believe that evidence strongly supports that. Lindley covered up her actions for years, and she told countless lies to protect herself and to deceive others about her involvement in this case. After creating an alibi, her and Michael drove his car to our family property to murder Ben so that her car would not be seen. After executing my brother and cleaning up the evidence of her involvement, she immediately proceeded to build a web of lies that touched so many people. She led me directly to my brother's body and then put on a show, an act, a display that will forever haunt me for the rest of my days. She cried over my brother's dead body, yelling why, how, pretending to me that she did not know what she had done to this beautiful young man. She put the children through this experience. Here I am, covered in my brother's blood, attempting to comfort the children, despite them asking me if their daddy is dead. What Lindley Rennick has done to her children will forever be unforgivable. Ben was about to turn 30 years old. He was a great father of two that he loved. He's a great father of 2 children that he loved more than life itself. And his life was stolen from him by the sheer greed of Lindley Rennick. Ben was very talented. That talent brought him success. He never could have imagined, however, that this success would cost him his life. Ben would have never been able to have imagined being murdered by his wife, as all of us would soon find out to be the case. Lindley had every opportunity to come forward. She lied to cover up her guilt, and she murdered my brother to profit from his death. Lindley Rennick is a murderer. She will always be a murderer. This is a victim advocate statement, and I'm supposed to let you know about all the lives that have been affected by this tragedy. Well, Ben's children have lost the most. We have not seen my brother's children since Ben's funeral service in 2017. Despite constant attempts, all efforts to connect my children with theirs have been blocked for years. For the 3 years that she was out before the arrest, and then the 2 years that she spent on house arrest with an ankle monitor. We haven't seen my brother's children in 5 years, and here we are now waiting for them to heal. We know that they have been told lies, many of the lies that Lindley perpetuated throughout this process. We hope that April and Jonathan find it in themselves to do what's best for the children at all times. And when the time is right, please allow us to reunite our family. They have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old cousin that would love to know them. Lindley never mentioned her 3rd child during this trial, a fact of particular disgust. It never benefited her to bring up her youngest child, as she had him after the murder in her new life. We know more about this young child than we do my brother's children. When we didn't have access to them, we took comfort in knowing that this young boy was in good hands with his father and his family. There are a lot of victims in this case, from the very young and innocent to the multiple broken families and divorces that have happened as a result of Lindley's influence. The web of devastation travels far. Unfortunately, you cannot choose your parents, and certain mistakes cannot be undone. I'm hesitant to mention farm. If you know the story, you know that my father took his own life so that we could keep that property. At the time of Ben's murder, he was holding on to my ownership shares of the land, and once he was killed, Lindley inherited that property that my family maintained for almost 40 years. Without notice from Lindley, she promptly decided to sell our family farm out from underneath us, uprooting both my children and hers, literally breaking the family apart. I'm hesitant because the property was purchased by a wonderful, hardworking family who have paid their respects to us, and we wish them the very best moving forward. Losing the farm, however, was devastating. It was like someone else had died. Smirk. Ben and I had grown up together on that land. When my mother finally passed at home, Per her wishes, I held when my mother finally passed at home, per her wishes, I held my brother's hand, promising to her that I would take care of the farm for our children. My wife and I spent a small fortune attempting to maintain that property, only to have our investment stolen when it was sold by Lindley. She abandoned my brother's belongings, an act that shocked even the highway patrol, leaving behind wedding albums, only to auction off my brother's collectibles. Selfish, unexplainable actions. After the murder, we requested that Ben's ashes be returned to us so they could be reunited with the rest of my dead family. Despite multiple requests, we have never heard a response. Please tell me that you're keeping my brother's remains for Emma, or I demand that you return them to us immediately. They should never again be touched by Lindley's hands. The waves of this tragedy travel far. My young brother was just getting started on a journey that was cut short by selfishness and greed. Please give my brother the justice he deserves and seek the maximum possible sentence for Lindley Rennick. I want to end by thanking all the people involved in this case, including Devin Faust, Nathaniel Nat Schaefer, our wonderful victim advocate, Melissa Cutting, our prosecution team, and Marshall Frakes for making sure I didn't leave the pew. Thank you all for this opportunity, and God bless. May Benjamin Rennick please rest in peace.
You got any questions? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Rennick, you didn't testify at the trial, is that correct?
That's correct.
Why not?
I was hoping that the evidence would speak for itself.
Okay, but you're able to do a lot to say today, right?
Oh, yes.
But not at the trial.
If I could do it again, I would.
No other question. Oh, who sold the farm after that died?
Lindley Rennick sold that farm.
Who sold the farm?
You know who sold the farm.
Well, who sold the farm?
Charles Stahl sold the farm on Lindley Rennick's behalf.
No other question, Your Honor.
You got any redirect? All right, thank you so much. You step down. Okay, any further evidence? You got any evidence?
No, Your Honor.
All right, let's argue punishment. What do you want me to do?
Judge, as you said at the beginning, your hands are tied by what the jury's recommendations are. However, you do have the opportunity to run these sentences consecutively. And as you remember, you heard the state's closing arguments at both the guilty penalty phase. I won't repeat those reasons for asking for consecutive sentences here. I would note, though, that in one of those closing arguments, I talked about punching water and ripple effects. And I don't know that, I know at that time I would not have been allowed to say to the jury the things Sam just said so eloquently about the ripple effects of these crimes. And when Ms. Rennick cries about her children and her family, those are things she should consider before she decided to murder her husband. The last thing I would ask you to consider is something Mr. Rennick just said to you, Judge, in terms of whether these should be consecutive or not. Ms. Rennick, the person who orchestrated the murder of her husband, Ben, holds on to his remains at this point in time. He's been cremated. She will not allow those remains to be returned to her family. That's the type of woman she is, Judge. After she murdered him, she won't let anybody else have him.
Mr. Hessman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as I understand it, the range of punishment here is between 10 and 16 years. We're asking that a minimum you run these sentences concurrent, Your Honor, for a total of 13 years. That's only 3 years less than what the state's asking for, Your Honor. The jury indicated, Your Honor, that they want 13 and 3. They did not say, however, that they wanted those sentences to run consecutive.
Yeah, it's 13 and 3, right? What'd you say about 10?
Well, as I understand it, Your Honor, you can go lower.
Okay, all right, I see what you're saying.
So I don't think a 13-year
The minimum would be 10 on count one. I got you.
I don't think a 13-year sentence is against the jury's wishes, Your Honor, because the jury never came out and said that they want these one consecutive working crime. And I would think that 13 years, 3 years is an odd number to grab and say if one of these to be one consecutive. Your Honor, there are mitigating circumstances in this case, and I think the biggest mitigating circumstances is that the jury, by their verdict, rejected what Sam said and rejected what the state just said. The jury, by finding murder in the second degree, rejected the fact that this was a premeditated murder. Murder in the second degree is not premeditated murder. That's murder in the first degree. So everything the prosecutor just said was not found to be true by the jury.
I mean, who gives a shit about what the other people did or didn't get? The ones that helped her plan it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Ridiculous.
In very favorable personal history. There's nothing violent in this woman's past. She has no official criminal history at all. The SAR was favorable. The SAR, the sentence assessment report found her to have a low chance of reoffending, Your Honor. She was on.
This is hard to hear. It's kind of boring a little bit.
Was on home confinement
But it's okay. I mean, we're pushing through here. We basically just want to know what she got charged with and how long it was for, right?
Yeah, I mean, when the judge talks, though, I mean, it's just, it'll be soon. It's awesome.
And I don't mean to be inflammatory, Your Honor, but I don't think the state is in really any position to object to us asking for it.
Yeah, he definitely tells her about herself for sure.
Yeah, and her face, because I mean, watching her through all the trial and seeing all her facial expressions, it's like when the judge spoke, it's like she sat there like, oh God, I didn't fool him. I mean, that's what I thought.
Yeah, she fooled a lot of people, but you know what I'm saying? She's got a pretty face, and she thinks she does anyways, and she used that in her, her kids, I think, for a lot of too.
Parties argue punishment.
Yes, that was her attorney that just spoke.
Years, count 2, 3 years. Said
now he's going to sentence her
consecutively and not concurrently. Is there any legal cause why judgment and sentence should not now be pronounced upon you? Hearing no legal cause why judgment and sentence should not now be pronounced upon you, it is the judgment and sentence of this court that you be confined in an institution to be designated by the Department of Corrections of the state of Missouri for a period of 13 years on count 1 and 3 years on count 2. Said sentences to run consecutively unless sooner discharged by due operational law. Allocution, judgment, and sentence. Sheriff authorized 1 deputy to deliver the defendant to the Department of Corrections. Defendant given credit for time served. Civil judgment in accordance with law. I'm going to read you Supreme Court Rule 2915 because I have to. A person convicted of a felony after a trial, claiming that the conviction or sentence imposed violates the constitutional laws of this state or the Constitution of the U.S., including claims of ineffective assistance of trial and appellate counsel, that the court imposing the sentence was without jurisdiction to do so, or that the sentence imposed was in excess of the maximum sentence authorized by law, may seek relief in the sentencing court pursuant to the provisions of this rule. This rule provides the exclusive procedure by which that may be done. If you want to file this, and if no appeal of such judgment or sentence is taken, it has to be filed within 180 days of the date the judgment or sentence becomes final for purposes of appeal. If an appeal is taken, the motion shall be filed within, which apparently it won't be, within 90 days after the mandate of the appellate court issues affirming such judgment or sentence. No cost deposit will be required from you. If you don't have the money to hire a lawyer would be appointed at that time to represent you on the matter. And do you still feel like you've been effectively represented by counsel? Supreme Court Rule 2915 given, and court finds no probable cause to believe the defendant has not been effectively represented by counsel. Mr. Hesseman kind of got into the heads of what the jury might have been thinking. I don't know what they were thinking. He doesn't really know what they were thinking. He's drawing his conclusions, and I've drawn mine. Somehow they got confused. In my view, taking you out of the equation, his brother would still be alive. I don't understand how you're going up there. At 1 minute, you want a divorce and to get Mr. Humphrey mad enough to kill. I don't know. It doesn't matter if he killed. You were the one that put him up to it. You're awful lucky, ma'am. You're going to get out in your 40s, and my 40s weren't too bad. I just hope you don't kill again. That's it. Okay, Mr. Knight. Well, let me see who else on here.
Okay, you can stop it, Queen.
Yeah, Mr. O'Connor's on here. Just a second.
Or stop sharing it or whatever. That was it.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so 13 years. That's it. And I think she shot him, 8 times is what it said. His skull was completely crushed in. His brother thought that a snake had actually, wrapped around him and, killed him that way, I guess. But to do that to her kids is crazy as hell. I mean, selling all that property that, you know what I mean, and going behind his family's back. I mean, she knew what she did. So to go smile in people's faces and, accept their money and their gifts and their, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do to help? That's some snake ass shit for real. That's some slick shit,
Yeah, and she wore, for those of you that didn't follow the story or the trial, prior to the shooting, she actually tried to poison him and kill him, but it didn't work. He just got really sick. So she had to come up with another plan. I mean, and then she was on the stand, and at one point, what she was telling her friends is that while she was sleeping, he was having sex with her. Basically, unwanted. So,
Knowing damn well that's a lie because she's cheating with 2 or 3 other men at the same time.
oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and then they said she did not want to bring up. I think his brother brought it to the attention, but they said something about she didn't want to bring up her 3rd child that they had together.
Yeah, the child, okay, so that was never discussed during the trial, but he did bring it up after because she was okay. She was married to Ben. She started an affair, almost what, like September of the year before he died. She started an affair with the guy that did the marketing for her spa. And then it didn't say when she started the affair with the guy that ended up fathering her child. But after she killed her husband, she then went on and still saw the 2 other men because she didn't break up with, or he didn't break up with her, the first guy, until September or August. And then she was eventually living with the guy that she did have a little boy with. So, I mean, her life was just going on. And we can't, I don't know where all the money went, but I mean, the land that she sold was over $800,000. $800,000. I mean, how can she benefit from the murder? That money should have to be given to his family. I mean, that's just, I mean, I don't understand any of that.
Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna be right back. My like volume is being weird.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, to me, this was just, I watched the entire trial. Watch, listen to, whatever. I've gotten to where I listen to a lot of court cases, the actual court case on, different court channels, because I find that so interesting. But there was so much to this case. And even in trying to dig, deeper and deeper, I'm sure that she hid some stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. How do you commit murder like that and then walk away making a profit from selling family land? I mean, there's so many things
A lot of
sickening
people
about
do.
this.
I mean, there's a lot of people that do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I just can't believe she did that to her like her own kids, you know? I
Yeah,
mean, they could have had a beautiful life. Think about that. He was going to be a millionaire and he had just opened a spa for her. She had her own place. Like, she would have had a much better life being with him, supporting him, and staying with him, opposed to, did you see that man? He looked greasy as hell, like nasty as hell, compared to, like, what are
oh
you
yeah.
doing? Why would you
Humphrey.
even leave your man for somebody like that? What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
but
know. I mean, I can't get with that. I can't even get behind that. He looked like he was dirty as hell too. Like, he didn't even look, I mean, I
yeah,
guess it's not all about looks, but he didn't seem like anybody that had anything going for him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'd rather be with, you know, my husband that I was helped push to be successful. I mean, you would think that she would want to, I don't know. It's crazy to me.
well, I mean, she and Humphreys though didn't get re-involved, but I don't think that the little boy's daddy was much better. So I mean, it's like I, and the thing when you heard Sam talk about the 2 children, the little boy was not Ben's, but he treated him as though he was, and his family, you know, um, I mean, to them,
Yeah,
he
they
was
said he included him in a
family.
lot of like, yeah, like activities and with the snake stuff and the babies and the
Hmm.
incubators. Like, yeah, and they said that he was a really good dad to her son. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was very good to him. So the son, I guess, really, you know, he lost a father figure when she killed his dad, you know, or whatever.
And I think it's her sister that has the two older children. Yeah, I think that Canine, I think that she wanted the status and the money.
Yeah,
She was
she
just a
couldn't pay her
greedy,
bills.
yeah. But to tell everybody, you know, because her friends apparently asked her, well, why don't you just divorce him? And she was like, well, he'll take my children. I mean, that should be a red flag for people, right? He'll take my children. Well, how can he? What are you doing?
Yeah, see, that was just, I don't know. I thought it was pretty smug of her to go to the snake breeders and, you know, accept their money and their gifts. And, you know, they attempted to try to help with the snakes and what was left. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, that's a lot of money. I don't care what anybody says. He was making good money.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we know that he
He
was
started
willing to
with nothing.
sell.
You know, he started with a couple snakes, a couple
Mhm.
animals, and he made good fucking money from that.
Just because we know that he was going to sell the majority of his snakes for the 1.5 million, we don't
Yeah.
know what all he was bringing in monthly. I mean, this guy was
Well,
searched
not only
out.
that, though, but I mean, he could have, he with his knowledge, he could have started over
Yeah.
and he could have been successful again in the snake breeding business if he really wanted to be. You
Well,
know, he already had a name built for himself and everything. So, I mean, he was doing really, really good and he had a lot of people, he had a lot of support, you know?
I thought he was selling off his snakes because of wanting to do much more. He was still going
Yeah,
to do the snakes, but in a different capacity. He was going to
right,
breed
right.
differently.
I'm
And
just saying, like, if he ever wanted to, even if he sold everything off, you know what I mean? Like, if he ever wanted to get back into that, he could start basically like he did with nothing again, or even just a few snakes and
yeah,
get back
yeah,
to where he was if he really wanted to. I mean, if that was the direction he wanted to go in. I do believe you're right. I think he sold them off because he wanted to go in a different direction. And I think he was just like mainly into helping other people breed. I want to say it was like high end snakes or
hmm
whatever,
hmm
certain animals or something like that, you know?
yeah. I forget what they're called. Jeez, my brain. Um, but you know, I mean, he was so well known in the snake breeding community that if people didn't have, like, if somebody was looking for a specific snake or wanted a specific snake and the other breeders didn't have it, they knew to send him to Ben. Ben either had it or could come up with what they were looking for. I mean, this guy was,
Yeah, he was very intelligent. Yeah.
yeah. So, well, you know, Blonderella, I understand that it's not easy to take children away. I understand that. But for that to be your reason to kill the spouse, I don't want to get a divorce because I'm afraid that he's going to take my children. That, I
Oh,
mean,
people have definitely used that. You know that.
oh, I know. I
There's
know.
definitely cases of women, you know, using that or people saying that, you know, like it's,
Well, I think most of the snakes were pythons. It was like the python breed.
yeah, there was yeah, I mean, he had a bunch of different breeds,
Yeah.
honestly. He was breeding new, what, new species or something. Like he was,
Yeah. See and that's what he was going to go into, Queen. I mean, that's why he was willing to sell for 1.5.
I mean, when you get into genetics and stuff, like you can make some fucking damn good money when you know, people request a white snake with blue eyes and you can go in and produce that with two, you know what I'm saying? You can make some fucking damn good money doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, he was so well known. When you have other breeders that are sending you business because you can come up with what they want and they can't. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, he was just so very well known. And
Because you know more about this shit than I do, but I mean, like I said, my brother's into it, my dad was into it, and it was something, you know, I wanted to get into. So I mean, we talked about it. It's really interesting to me too, though. But I mean, like I said, even on the aspect of like she's only got 13 years. I mean, obviously it was for the money and shit, but I think she would have had a way better life had she just stayed with him and I mean, I guess I guess it, it gets really nasty, and when you got cheating spouses and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Things can get really nasty. So,
Well, the thing that gets me is, I mean,
yeah, look,
people that
Case,
cheat are one thing, but my God, she's balancing. I mean, we know of two men. We don't, I mean, that just blows my mind.
yeah, like,
Never been.
well, like Kate said, she said you can breed certain lizards for like 2,000 a pop. Yeah, like you can. They're like like I said, when you get into genetics and you get into breeding certain animals, for that want certain people want certain characteristics, or they want an animal with, like dogs, like certain breeders when it comes to like dogs, certain people want, short stout pit bulls with the ears cropped and the tails, you know what I'm saying? The tails cropped or whatever. Or they want, you know what I'm saying? Like different, when you breed like blue pit and a red pit or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever
Yeah,
kind of dogs. I mean, you get what I'm saying,
yeah.
Like I
Well,
said, it's all in
29 said it
genetics.
right. Yeah, hybrid.
Which I don't know shit about. That's way out of my fucking league. I mean, I have no clue about any of that shit. But I'm just saying, it's like really fucking cool when you are smart enough to do that kind of shit, which clearly I'm not.
Yeah,
But
me either.
you know what I'm saying? Like Ben, I mean, he was clearly smart enough that he could still make a way. I mean, they could live off that money that he was, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, even though she didn't pay her bills and shit, like they could have still
Oh,
lived off
I
that
agree.
money, and he could have found something else to get into, or he could have made money in other ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just, I don't know, mind boggling to me. And then to watch, and during the trial, she wore a cross. Okay. Now, and then
Yeah,
she
she said,
would
yeah,
tuck it
Paradox.
in like when the juror's not watching her. I mean, you don't just wear a cross and pretend to be a good Christian person. I'm sorry, but she really did pour it on.
Yeah, okay, Kate said you can, yeah, Paradox bearded dragon is worth a ton. And she goes, with reptiles, you can cross certain morphs to make wild looking shit.
Mhm.
And Blonderella said Tibetan Mastiffs are like 10,000 a pup. And she said, I want a Merrill French Bulldog, and they are like 6 to 7,000 a pop. Yeah, Barbara Streisand cloned her dog twice. What? Oh my God, she cloned it twice?
She did what?
She she said Barbara Streisand cloned her dog. I said she did it twice.
Wow, 65,000 a dog. She cloned him?
Yeah, but she did it twice, not just like one time. She did it twice.
Okay, I didn't know you could even do that.
I didn't either, let alone once, let alone twice.
I've been
Jeez.
watching too many court trials. I don't know what you can do in real life.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, Gladys said she was a hussy in court. Yeah, she pretty much was. Like she was like throwing, her.
Oh yeah, the little sweet innocent looks, and oh my God, made me want to just be sick. I mean, I think the most amazing thing to me is that she got a total of 16 years, but she only got 13 years for killing him. Now, I don't know because I never found anything on it. Maybe you do, Queen. I don't know. I mean, I researched quite a bit,
Most people
but
get life in prison of 50 years, 60 years, 70 years.
yeah,
She was 13. I mean, shit.
yeah.
That ain't shit.
But let me just ask, is it just me, or did you guys think that the judge really told her about herself? I mean, because I think she thought the judge was like, woe is her. And, his statement of, I don't know what the jury was thinking, and I hope you don't kill again. I mean, wow. He just told you what he thought of you, sweetheart. You didn't pull any wool on that man's eyes. I loved it, but it wasn't enough. Did anybody else feel that, or was that just me?
I'm guessing maybe it's just you because there's.
Yeah, nobody's saying. It's like, shut up,
Yeah.
Nana. We ain't interested. That's okay. You know, it takes
What?
some
Wait,
things
was
to
who? What?
be.
Kate, who was abusive? What are you talking about? Are you
Yeah,
asking was he abusive or anything? Are you talking about Ben Rennick or whatever?
I
I
think
don't
she
think he
is.
was.
Yeah, no. As far, I mean, no one even heard a single word or had any clue there was any problems whatsoever, except for her two friends that worked for her, and that, well, and the guy um, that actually gave her the gun. And that was, she was just saying that he would have sex with her at night while she was asleep, which she didn't want. But I mean, everyone that knew him or knew them were just in awe that she had killed him. I mean, even his family. Nobody had. He was a good
Yeah,
guy.
his
He was a
family
good
had a really
guy.
hard time even believing that she did that. They didn't even believe it. When she was arrested, they actually got very angry with the officer that arrested her for the murder
Yes.
because they backed her that much. They supported her that much that they just knew in their minds and their hearts that she just would never do such a thing until, you know, all the details came to light, and then they kind of well, and then I think his brother knew from the beginning because him and his brother were really close, I think. But the rest
Well,
of the family really believed in her. They liked her.
yeah. I mean, the way Sam talked, it's not just that she killed Ben, but my God, I mean, can you imagine supporting, loving, and backing this woman, and she killed your brother? You know? Yeah.
You know what, Gladys? That's a good question. She said, "Can I just ask how many times has a woman or a man be awakened for a good time?" Just saying.
Oh yeah, back in my younger days, girl, don't wake me up now. Mm-mm. I got to have my sleep. Well, Canine. Now the guy, I mean, the guy that actually he was an ex-boyfriend of like 10, 15 years ago, and yeah, he did take a bigger sentence because she was trying to pin it on him. So maybe that's why they couldn't go for premeditation. Maybe they felt they couldn't prove it. I don't know. I mean, with surely murder one would have given much. I'm sorry, I was reading comments. Cam, no answer. Um, I got sidetracked. Queen, take yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Like I said, I mean, I don't know. I think the judge was more pissed off than anything because he was not happy with the sentencing at all.
No, and he said that he received what, hundreds, thousands of letters, wanting a stricter sentence, but unfortunately, the law in Missouri would not allow that.
Hey, hey.
Hey,
I'm in the pickup
What's
line,
that?
so I figured I got like 10 minutes. Um, well, no, I just like I'm trying to figure out why what is the like law or what happened that the jury like decided, like how did they come up with that short amount of time? I just can't, because it sounds premeditated, obviously. Like you would think she would get like the maximum.
Yeah, that's what I was curious of because
Yeah, it just
13
like
years, you're
doesn't
like,
make sense.
damn, you know what I mean? Like people get 13 years for like a robbery, like robbing cars or houses, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Like
you
this
get
is straight
13 years,
premeditated murder. Like
right? But for murder, for shooting her husband in the back of his head 8 times, I mean, 13 years is like
so
nothing. You know
really,
what I mean? Like the
yeah, that's
punishment does not fit the crime. The crime does not fit the punishment there.
no,
That
not at
doesn't
all.
match up there at all.
So did they
no.
not know it was her at first for a while? Like
Well, for the first few years, there was nothing. The only reason this came to light is her and the newest baby's daddy broke up, and she had told him all kinds of stuff, and so he went to the cops.
Oh, he ratted her out. Oh, wow.
So that's how it came to be. And they were trying to discredit all of that. But once, I can't remember his name. But anyway, once the baby's daddy, the last baby's daddy, gave the information, then they went to Humphreys and said, hey, we know. And Humphreys actually still had the gun that was used. He had hid it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so they had all this evidence and still, that's so crazy. Like, I wonder what
Because
Has the boyfriend been sentenced yet? Like, is he?
The ex-boyfriend that gave her the gun and went with her, that was actually there, is, if I'm not mistaken, sentenced to life and hoping for a parole at one point.
Shit,
Why
he got life and
he
she got
more
13
than
years.
because
Damn.
see, little Miss Sweet and Innocent kept saying that she didn't pull the trigger, he pulled the trigger. And, it was a he said, she said it at a certain point. So maybe that's why they couldn't go for
But
premeditation.
didn't she eventually admit during cross-examination that she pulled the trigger?
No, she
I
still
thought I read
claims
that.
she's innocent.
Ah, okay. I thought I was reading up on it last night, and I thought that they said something about, like, during cross-examination she admitted something, but
No,
She just admitted that she lied a lot, and she's like, I lied a lot. I had a lot of affairs, and I did a lot of bad things.
But I didn't kill my husband.
But I didn't kill my husband. I think
well, that's
pretty much
probably
what she
why
said.
then they might not be able to prove that she pulled the trigger.
Even the judge told her, I don't care if you pulled the trigger or not. You set it all up. I mean, basically, it's like,
yeah.
That's a good question, Pecan Pie. Does his family have the children? Who's got the kids now?
Her sister has the two older ones, and the baby is either in an orphanage or with the biological father side of the family. I can't, because one of it's really hard to find. I've tried and tried and tried. One says it's in an orphanage, and other people say he's with the family. She has, but the two older ones, the ones that were there when she was with Ben, her sister has. Now, why her family is not letting his family see these children? I mean, they're just as sick as she is.
So they had her back, like his family at first. They believed she was innocent.
100%.
So were they okay with her selling the farm at the time? Or did she sell it later?
Well, it's like the brother said that she no, you mean his family? Was his family okay or hers?
Yeah, like, was his family, but did they believe she was innocent, or did they think she did it all along?
No, they thought she was innocent, but they were never okay with her selling the property.
Gotcha.
That was family property there for the children and grandchildren. It wasn't something to be sold.
Man, you can't get that back. That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's really messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good cases this year coming up. I'm excited. Like we had a lot of big cases, and this year we got the Stout case, and then we have the Morphew case.
We're working on another one. We're just not. We're not done.
Morphew.
Does anyone
case,
know when the
kinda
Daybell
interesting.
case is happening?
What is it? What'd you say?
Oh, there's another spammer in the chat.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was one of them. Yeah, I was gonna say I got one of them, but is there more?
Yeah, I can't block on my phone when I'm on StreamYard. I'm sorry, Queen.
No, you're fine. I got them.
But yeah, that case just, instead of because we went back and forth on how much to show of it or whatever, and then it drew out to the point that finally it was all over. So we thought, well, we'll just give information, because if you're really interested and you want to know more, you can actually go watch the trial. But there's pretty much, it's recapped. I mean, that's it. She got up there and tried to play Miss Innocent and woe is me, and
Yeah, it worked. It worked for her.
mm-hmm.
It worked very well for her.
Hey, is anybody watching what do you call it? God, my brain just is a fog so much right now. The Waffle House shoot, that trial's going on. I think it was a few years ago.
You know what? I've seen that.
Yeah, I was watching that yesterday. I mean, there's so many different interesting trials that are happening that and
The Barry Murphy, we'll have to get with Kate because she knows a lot about it, but it's really
Morphy case
interesting.
is so crazy. Like, I think I'm so interested in the Morphy case because not only is there so much going on in the case, but so much going on with like the investigators and the DA. Like, there's so much drama all around. Like, the prosecution is totally throwing the case. The DA is just a mess. Like,
yeah, see, and I can't believe so there was a gag order and the DA went on YouTube on Profiling Evil and started talking to them about the case.
No
How
way.
unprofessional.
which
Yes.
taints the jury pool. You know what I mean? The more, like, you're, like, to have a fair trial, you don't want to go out and, like, the DA of all people shouldn't be going out and discussing it and tainting more people. You know what I mean? It's totally unprofessional. Not only that, but she was like arguing with people on YouTube and like hunting people down and arguing with them. And then she said she wasn't gonna show up on Mondays. And then in like, I think the past 4 court dates, or maybe 5 now, because they just had one. I don't know if she was at the last one or not. I'll have to check, but she hasn't showed up. And I'm thinking maybe because she was going to be held in contempt and like didn't want to be there for it. But
Yes, CK is definitely on Twitch. She's still on Twitch, right? She does her streams on Twitch. And
on
yeah, I
Twitch.
was gonna say I had that on my phone for a while, but it's so hard for me to watch it on here that I'll have to. I can't. It's pointless for me to try to watch them because it just stops and like it just like
Yeah,
spins.
some
You know
people
what
have
I'm
like
saying?
trouble with Twitch for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's really
Like, some
shitty on my
people
phone.
do
So
like have no issues, and then some people have a lot of issues with it. I don't know why. It's weird. You could probably
yeah,
watch
it's like
it on
I don't know
like
if
a
it's my
computer.
service or what, but it just like stops and like you know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like it just sits and like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Lags the whole time. I'm like,
what the hell? What the hell? Does anyone know anything about the Heidi Broussard case?
What is going on? No one's giving any updates. Do you know about that?
I don't know. Like,
I don't.
I haven't heard anything about like what's going on with that. Like, I haven't heard any updates with that.
Are y'all keeping up with, okay, what's the shooter's name from that high school? Are y'all keeping up with that?
Ethan Crumbly or whatever. He's pleading insanity, I think.
I know. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I guess they say that's normal though for that type of crime, but
yeah,
I don't think they're going to be able to prove he was insane, because he may have been sick in the head, but I don't think he's insane.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to prove it either, but I mean, they can try. And I know with the Stout case, Letitia's been like evaluated like 3 or 4 times already. Like, I'm pretty sure she's competent to stand trial, but they're evaluating her for something else now. Like, she's and they're like, and I know in the last hearing they're afraid that that it's gonna like the valuation's gonna overlap the next court date or whatever. I don't think that lady's crazy. I think she just acts crazy. Oh, my eyes are itchy.
Oh, crazy. Queen, what is the one that the girl that committed the murder in Florida, and her entire trial, every time they would pull her in, she would scream, and then they would have to take her out. And she did her trial by her in another room, watching the video because she wouldn't behave and she was trying to act. What was her name?
I can't
Damn.
remember, but it was terrible. She would not behave herself. She was,
And she has this entire list of aliases. Remember, I sent that to you just the other day. I was like, oh my God. I mean, this woman she would start screaming. Like, there was one time she was screaming, basically that her attorney was somebody's relative. I mean, she just, and she researched all this stuff, and there was a trail of all her research in how she was behaving. I mean, just insane. And she got life, thank God.
Oh, was she looking up like how to act crazy?
Yes. Let me find her name, because that just let me see. It was. I'm so sorry. My brain is like foggy.
Oh yeah, and then with the Morphew trial, the lead investigator is being investigated by Internal Affairs for lying. He's on the Brady list, which is like a list that like they use to like look and see if people are credible or not. Like he resigned over like something happening where his gun discharged inside his home, and he like lied about it, and supposedly he lied on other cases like on the stand. So the lead investigator who like wrote up half of the arrest affidavit and stuff is pretty much incredible, like, or uncredible, or however you would say it. Like, he's deemed not credible. And then
yeah, so he's like an incredible witness.
and then the lead prosecuting attorney left, like,
Oh my God.
in October.
Wow.
And they're trying to say that the prosecution was hiding. So there was DNA found in her car, which could mean that there's another suspect. And when they went to the preliminary hearing, supposedly they hid that they actually had a name for this guy, and they went to go try and talk to him, and he lawyered up. All they said at the preliminary hearing is that there was DNA, but they hadn't looked into it yet. But supposedly they had a name already, and if they had a name and they kept it from the...
You cut out, baby. You cut out.
They had a name, and they left it for the prelim. It's considered exculpatory evidence. And
You're cutting out really bad.
But let me go out and get
Oh,
back
there
in,
you go.
because I can't hear.
Now it's better. Now it's better. Oh, she was cutting out really bad.
Kimberly Kessler. That's the lady's trial, was Kimberly Kessler.
Oh yeah, she hit a nutball for real. We need to get like a list of cases. I know Pam sent me a bunch of them, of like the missing Indigenous women. There is tons and tons and tons and tons of those like cases. There's tons of those cases. I'm so serious. Like and of course each case is a child that's missing, that's been missing. And because it's such like it doesn't get really talked about at all. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? And there's not very much attention brought to them at all. So I thought about maybe like doing a couple streams on some of them girls, that are missing out there. But we need to get like a list of cases that people are interested in so we can start doing them.
Oh yeah. Hey, Queen.
Yeah.
Here, if you do share screen for just a minute, and I'll show the
Oh
little.
yeah. Okay.
And I
You're
mean,
showing the wild woman.
oh yeah, I think this one will do it. Let me see. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll.
Is it on there? I think it's
Yeah.
on there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Headed to prison.
We're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate her homegoing. It's her new home for the rest of her life. And until she takes her last breath, it's going to be Florida State Prison.
The woman who killed mother of three, Jolene Cummings, in 2018 has now been sentenced to life in prison without parole. News4Jax reporter Corley Peel joins us live to show us why Sheriff Leeper says this calls for a celebration. Corley.
I hope
Sheriff Bill Leeper says it's been a nightmare having Kimberly Kessler in the Nassau County Jail. And he says now that she's been convicted and sentenced for Jolene Cummings' murder, he feels the people here in Nassau County are in a better place. For the last time, Kimberly Kessler shouts her way into a courtroom, making false claims about her former public defender. She was removed from her sentencing hearing, where the judge sentenced her to life without parole for the 2018 murder of Jolene Cummings. Sheriff Bill Leeper says it's been a long time coming.
So I've been assured she'll be on the first bus tomorrow out of town. And if you leave, we're going to have cake and ice cream.
Cummings'
She'll
mother,
be on
Ann
the first
Johnson,
bus out of
became
town. We'll be
emotional
having
as she
cake and
gave
ice
the
cream.
impact statement, describing what the past years have been like without her daughter, Jolene.
We suffer the greatest nightmare of all. The murder of a beautiful soul that was taken from us. The only thing that keeps us together is faith.
Johnson reported her daughter missing in May 2018. Investigators say Kessler used scissors to kill her former co-worker in the hair salon where they both worked. Blood evidence was found in the salon. Prosecutors say Kessler's internet searches, including female Florida murders and Jolene Cummings' no body, no crime, proved Cummings' murder was premeditated. And what is that like to finally get justice for Jolene and her family?
But it's satisfying. Our investigators, deputies, crime scene personnel that investigated this case along with FTLE and other agencies, they're the best of the best. And it showed in the verdict that was rendered. I'm proud of them.
Over the years, Kessler underwent several mental competency evaluations and was ruled competent to stand trial. While in jail, the woman with 17 different aliases was hospitalized after a hunger strike, assaulting officers, and recent suicide attempts, according to Sheriff Leeper.
She has, over the last few weeks, attempted to take her life. She was unsuccessful, obviously. But we wanted to keep her safe in our jail until we could get rid of her and put her in the state's hands.
We can get rid of her and put her in the state's hands.
Okay, let me
Jolene
look.
Cummings' body has
Go
never
ahead
been
and stop
found.
that.
Sheriff
Let me
Leeper says
find the
that they will
clip
continue
where
following
they
him and
brought
do
her in,
everything.
and all she was doing is screaming, and you could hear her screaming down the hall. Let me find that one. I mean,
She's
I was like,
a hot ass mess.
it was like unreal. I thought that one was it.
She's a hot ass mess.
Oh, she was. I mean, they would take her in and then have to take her like right out because she just kept screaming.
So they worked at a salon together, and she was like looking up ways to kill the girl she worked with. Is that right?
Yes. Well, she was looking up ways to commit murder and not have it be traced. Yeah. And then she started, she researched as well, trying to like be found not competent and stuff. You know, she was trying like I don't know, the crazy side, or she's as sane as could be, but man. And I can't even, let me see. I'm trying to find one where they wheel her in and you can hear her, I think, screaming down the hall. But I mean, every day of trial was the same. They would wheel her in and the judge would have her sent out because she's screaming. Let me see. I don't know. Okay, try this, Queen. It may not be much, but we'll try.
Sorry, my little had needed my attention.
Right.
What do you got going on here? Do you want me to play this?
Yeah. I mean, I know I know she'll be screaming, but I don't know for how long, but we can do this one. I mean, this one on every single day of her trial.
Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the
What
Virginia,
happened?
Ohio, Kansas, Alaska, North? Police wanted to talk to her.
Okay, hold
Can I
on.
analyze the case of Kimberly Kessler? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosed.
Yeah, just a second. That I had one video and a different one came up. Here it is. Here it is. I don't know how the hell that happened. Okay. Oh,
You
I
want to
know.
make it bigger?
Huh? I got it.
You want to make it bigger, or do you want to leave it? Okay. All right. Ready?
I got it. Well, shit. I thought I had it right where she was coming in, guys. I'm sorry. Almost.
You know her attorneys and the judge are sick of her shit.
Oh yeah. Well, when you hear the
They
guy
probably want her
about
the
the
fuck out of that courtroom.
let's have a party.
No shit.
My intention is to deal with all post-trial motions first.
She'll be coming in a second.
And you said she does this every single day of her trial?
Yeah, every single day. They wheeled her in and wheeled her ass out. Excuse me for my yeah.
I guess they have to, like, so they don't get, you know, because if they don't bring her in, then she can say, you know, they didn't hold an accurate trial or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and you can in some of them, I don't think this is one, but in some of them in the clips, you can hear her screaming as they're bringing her into the courtroom. She's screaming the same thing over and over.
And she looked this up the whole time on her Google.
Well, she looked it up prior to, yeah. So she would act like this shit. I don't know if this is one that'll pick it up in the hallway though, but I mean, seems like forever with the door open, just waiting.
K9 handler said, watch the guard's face. That is wheeling her in and out. I bet his face is like, Jesus, Lord, just shut your mouth.
That's why they say party. I mean, really, when a jailer is going to party because you're gone.
Julie Cummings' cousin. Jordan Spears, 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 Julie Cummings' cousin.
They're saying,
Julie Cummings' cousin. Jordan Spears.
I mean, can you believe that shit?
And that's going to be her insanity. You know what, though? I bet she probably is a hell of a time in the damn cell at the jail because, you know, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be in a cell 24 hours a day, let alone somebody like that with mental health issues. Wow. She probably does give them a run for their money because they said she went on a hunger strike. She probably was not eating or throwing her food away. She probably has like thrown feces or urine out her fucking chuck hole. She's like probably one of those. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, girl, she made them work for their money. That's all I can say. But I mean,
Fuck yeah, she's like, shit, we can't wait to hand her over to the state. She can be their problem.
Yeah.
Shit. Well, I appreciate you coming up here. My littles they need me. So today's a snow day. We got like 14 inches of snow. So
Oh, I gotta run to the store. We've got ice coming. So
Oh boy.
I think
I
two.
think today was I think this was a good live, and I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you, Nana, and I appreciate everybody coming and supporting and hanging out in the chat. So
Hey, just for the record, guys, if we do a who am I and you figure it out, don't put it in chat. don't bust our bubble before we start.
I was like, oh Nana, somebody already guessed it.
I know, and she said she goes Heather, and I said, damn, not crippled Heather. She said, yeah, and I'm like, what?
I was like, yep, Heather got it.
We were so excited. We're like, oh, having and playing it all out, and then Heather has to bust my bubble.
It was
I
so
had
funny.
a blast. Thank you.
Yeah,
Queen.
it was. You're welcome, and thank you for coming up. I hope everybody has a good day today, and we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye, guys.